Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with my ranking of the Star Wars saga. So I want to first start by saying that I was never a huge Star Wars fan growing up. I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't get into them. I really wanted to like them. For some reason, they were movies that I just really wanted to like, and I would watch them, but they just didn't appeal to me, and I could never understand what all the hype was about. Then, a few years back, when The Force Awakens was going to be released, you guys probably remember it was pretty much forced down our throats. Every commercial had something to do with Star Wars. The trailer for The Force Awakens was on pretty much, every 10 seconds it seemed. And I decided then that I wanted to go back, watch the old films, and hopefully like them. It had been a long time since I had seen them. I just wanted to watch them again, see if I could like them, and then maybe go see The Force Awakens in theaters. So each weekend I watched one or two of the old films, starting with episode 4, working my way through the original trilogy, then went back and watched the prequels, and guess what? I loved them. I just don't know what happened over the years, but something in me changed, and I absolutely love them. I am a huge Star Wars fan at this point. I ended up going to see The Force Awakens in theaters, saw it in theaters twice, went to see Rogue One in theaters, saw The Last Jedi in theaters, and yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan now. So, wanted to do this ranking video for a little bit, but I've been waiting for The Last Jedi to come out, and as you know, it came out this week. I just showed it in my last update video. So, here it is, without further ado, my ranking of the Star Wars saga. Please keep in mind, like with my other ranking videos, that this is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying that my favorite in the saga is the best Star Wars film. I'm just saying it's my favorite. It's the one that I enjoy watching the most. So I'll be starting with my least favorite in the series and working my way up to my favorite. Coming in dead last is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, in all fairness, I've only seen this one once. I saw it in theaters, haven't watched the Blu-ray yet, just got it this week, obviously, since it was just released. But, I don't know. I mean, I've seen the other films countless times. I love them all, but I wouldn't say that I love this one. Now, I know a lot of people do. There seems to be two schools of thought with this one. Either people love this one and think it's one of the best, or people just completely hate it. And while I don't completely hate it, I can definitely see, where those people are coming from. This one was just way too different than the rest. It really destroys some of the mythos behind Star Wars. With what happens with the Luke Skywalker character, who's my favorite character in all of Star Wars. The way his character is treated and was written in this film, it was just very disappointing. I guess after being, so impressed with The Force Awakens and waiting 2 years to find out what was going to happen, just to get this, I don't know. It pains me to say it. It really does. I feel like I did when I was younger, when I really wanted to like the Star Wars films. I wanted to like this one. I wanted to love it. I did. But I was left sitting in the theater just almost confused about how I felt. Yeah, anyway, like I said, I've seen it once. I definitely need to give it a rewatch. It deserves at least that, but for now, it's bottom of the barrel for me. Next, I have Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. This is episode 2, of course, and prior to episode 8, The Last Jedi, being made, this was my least favorite in the saga. There's nothing specifically wrong with it. It's just, it's not one of the better films, in my opinion. It doesn't really stand out too much. Other than the Jango Fett scenes, which are pretty cool, especially of Boba holding Jango's head after he's beheaded at the end in the Clone Wars. That's a great scene, but other than that, there's just not a lot about this one that really stands out. You have the CGI Yoda, which I really don't like. I definitely prefer the puppet Yoda. Way too much CGI in the prequel films, and while I can put up with it for the most part, the Yoda just it didn't seem right to me. It's a cool lightsaber scene, with Yoda and Dooku in this one, but again, just not one of my favorites. I do like the Anakin scene with the Tusken Raiders when he finds Shmi and he kills all the Tusken Raiders. That's a pretty memorable scene. Other than that, this one's just lacking for me, and that's why I place it second to last. Now, I know I'm going to get some grief for this, for ranking it as high as I have. But next up is the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's terrible. I know it is. It was only shown once, and for good reason. George Lucas hates it, and I can understand why. But I kind of like it. And in fact, I actually do enjoy watching this one more than Attack of the Clones, and more than the one time I watched The Last Jedi. So that's why I ranked it here. I especially like the animated segments. Those are kind of fun. It's cheesy, it's silly, it's ridiculous. But hey, I like it. Next for me is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now I ranked this one as high as I have for one reason. And it's this guy right here, Darth Maul. He's such an awesome Sith, and I wish he was in more of the saga. However, with that being said, it's probably his limited screen time that makes him so cool. It almost leaves you wanting more. He's mysterious, and he has that great lightsaber battle at the end with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. For that reason alone, Star Wars The Phantom Menace is my next pick on my ranking. We're sort of at the middle of the list now, and we've reached Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I love this film, and I wish I could rank it higher. Jyn Erso is probably my favorite heroine in all of the saga. I know that may be blasphemy, but I love her character. She's amazing. This movie has great characters, fast pacing, a phenomenal ending, and it is just awesome. The only reason why it's ranked here is because I like the other films a bit more. Next up is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, or simply Star Wars, as it was originally titled when it was first released. This is the one that started it all. As I mentioned earlier, Luke Skywalker is my favorite character in all of the saga, and here is where we're introduced to him. It's an awesome movie, an absolute classic, but again, I like the other films just a bit more than this one. Some people might be surprised to find this next one ranked so highly, but I love it. It's Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And I have it ranked here for many reasons. First, it includes one of my favorite villains in the entire saga, General Grievous. This movie also features what might be my favorite lightsaber battle, which is of course Anakin against Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Mustafa system. It's a heartbreaking scene when Anakin tells Obi-Wan he hates him. And then Obi-Wan looks at him and says, "You are my brother, Anakin. I loved you." It really is heartbreaking. He has no choice but to put Anakin down, and he doesn't want to do it, but he has to. It's good versus evil, the light side versus the dark. It's what Star Wars is about. And if that wasn't sad enough, then you have that scene of Anakin, becoming Darth Vader, stepping down, finding out that Padme has died, giving birth to their children, Luke and Leia, of course, and he lets out that scream. He screams out no. I know a lot of people find that cheesy. A lot of people don't like that scene. But I always thought, it was such a great scene. It really shows you why Anakin turned to the dark side, why Anakin became Darth Vader. It's a great film. It doesn't get enough credit. I love it. Coming in at number 3 for me, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, I know many people consider this one to be the greatest Star Wars film and one of the best sequels of all time. I can't argue with that, really. I love the film. I definitely rewatched this one a lot, and I was actually questioning whether or not I wanted to put it at number 1. But here it is at number 3, because the two above this one, I do enjoy a bit more. In second place is Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This is my favorite film in the original trilogy, and it sort of feels like two films in one for me. You have the opening scene in Jabba's palace, with of course the classic Slave Leia scene, so who wouldn't enjoy that? That scene takes up a big chunk of the movie, and then the rest of the movie sort of finishes off in Endor with the Ewoks. From there, it kind of becomes a fantasy film, more so than a sci-fi film. It's more about forest creatures than it is space aliens, and I kind of like that. It's a bit different than the rest of them in that sense. This also features the completed training of Luke Skywalker to become a Jedi, and then the classic lightsaber battle of Luke versus his father in the end. Of course, we have the death of the Emperor, the death of Darth Vader. There's just so much in this movie. I love it. And at one point, it was my favorite Star Wars film. But that leaves one more. And here it is, my favorite of all the Star Wars films, Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's episode 7. We saw it everywhere. It was all over the TV in every single commercial. And for me, it definitely surpassed the hype. I was blown away by this movie. I saw it twice in theaters. Absolutely incredible. I'm going to start with the end scene. People were literally standing up, cheering, applauding, clapping their hands at that last scene in the movie. You know, it was awesome. I had the chills from it. I really, really did. Of course, you also have the death of Han Solo in this one, which, of course, is sad, but it was so well done. Kylo Ren is amazing. For those of you who don't like Kylo Ren, I don't get it. I probably never will. Adam Driver is incredible as the character. You know, it's funny in scenes, you know, when he has his meltdowns, his tantrums. But he really is such a good villain. And for those of you who say, you know, he's weak and he shouldn't have lost a lightsaber battle against Rey and Finn, I mean, the guy was shot in the stomach with Chewbacca's crossbow. The same crossbow that was pretty much knocking, you know, stormtroopers across the galaxy. The guy took a shot in the stomach with the crossbow, kneeled down, kind of held his stomach, and got back up and started fighting. He's awesome. He's an incredible villain. I can't wait to see more of him going forward in the Star Wars saga. You know, and this is where it started for his character, right here in The Force Awakens. So, yeah, I mean, it's not even close for me. I love The Force Awakens, and as much as I love Return of the Jedi, which is, of course, my second place movie, this one is just so far ahead of all of them for me. And that's my personal opinion. I said that earlier. I know people aren't going to agree. People are going to, of course, say, oh, the originals are better than this. How can you say this is number one? For me, it is. Absolutely love it. Star Wars, The Force Awakens. So that's it, guys, for my ranking of the Star Wars saga. There's my top 5 again right there. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. As always, please comment below. Let me know what you think about Star Wars. Let me know your favorite Star Wars films. And if you feel up to it, please feel free to post a video response ranking the Star Wars series yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and may the Force be with you.